Hi, I'm Jamie Alden, and now that 2025 is behind us, I wanted to take a few minutes to share what the data and my own experience tells us about the Champaign real estate market and what that means as we move forward in 2026. So, my goal today is to keep this simple and local, no headlines, no hype, just a clear snapshot of how the Champaign market actually behaved this past year. So the best way to describe Champaign's market in 2025 is that it was steady, it was selective, and it was strategy driven. So what do I mean by that? Well, demand was there, inventory remained relatively limited, and outcomes depended heavily on pricing, condition, and location. Overall, home prices in Champaign held relatively steady in 2025. However, results varied widely depending on price point, condition, and neighborhood. Homes that were priced appropriately and well cared for continued to sell. Homes that were priced aggressively or needed updates tended to sit longer or require price reductions. So the key shift in 2025 wasn't declining values. In fact, the median sales price in Champaign stayed relatively consistent, averaging around $236,000 throughout the year. So the bigger shift was buyers becoming more intentional, taking time to compare options and make thoughtful decisions. Inventory levels in Champaign remained relatively low compared to some of our surrounding communities. But even with limited supply, buyers approached the market differently than in previous years. Instead of rushing, buyers focused more on value, condition, and long-term fit. That meant sellers had less margin for error when it came to pricing and preparation. So one of the more notable characteristics of the Champaign market in 2025 was consistency. Homes generally took about a month to sell throughout the year without major swings from season to season. And that steady pace reflects a market that was functioning efficiently, not an overheated market and not a sluggish market. For both buyers and sellers, that kind of predictability made planning easier and outcomes more reliable. Another noticeable shift in 2025 was the return of negotiation. Homes typically sold just below list price, reinforcing the importance of realistic pricing and good preparation. Sellers who understood their competition and positioned their homes well continued to see strong results. This was no longer a market driven by urgency. It was driven by clarity and confidence. One thing that I noticed repeatedly in Champaign this past year was that buyers weren't afraid. They were thoughtful. They asked good questions, compared options carefully, and wanted to feel confident before moving forward. When that confidence was there, they absolutely acted, just without rushing. And that pattern showed up consistently. So, looking ahead to 2026, national forecasts are cautiously optimistic, and locally, I'm already seeing signs of, renewed activity. And that said, Champaign will continue to reward preparation over speed. Sellers who price accurately and present their homes well will be, better positioned, and buyers should expect competition for well-positioned homes in a stable and balanced market. So whether you're planning a move, thinking ahead, or simply keeping an eye on the market, understanding local trends helps you make confident decisions. So I will continue to share Champaign area market insights as the year unfolds. Thank you so much for watching.